Docker desktop, right? Once you install the Docker desktop in your local machine, it will be looks like that. So you can see that there is a container apps, images. So number of images you can see in remote repository and locals. In remote repository is nothing but on your basically CHRCC is nothing but my repository on the Docker Hub site, right? It is a basically default connecting with your uh, repository. Okay, these are all these on local. These many images which I have just created like this. Okay, so once you create the image, then you will push it to your Docker Hub. So these many images I have created with some of that our Spring Boot plugin, or maybe through which I have just tried it, right? So you can see like this onto a Docker desktops. Volumes you can see. Okay, so you will be able to see, and there is a two icons you see here, engine running, and there is a Kubernetes engine is also running. So with Docker desktop also there is a single node. Okay, that cluster that is also is coming up with the Docker desktop. Okay, so single cluster basically one cluster Kubernetes setup also we can just use it with the Docker. So you see that Kubernetes is running and then engine is running. So without any minikube also we can run some of these commands here, dev environment. So you see here, okay, that is basically you need to uh, get it. There is you need to create an environment and all these things that is you need to do. You can just see the demo and other things also. Okay. So that is overall, if you wanted to run a single container dev environment like that, so that is also you can just try it. Okay. Now this is a basically a compose base. So when you can have a multiple containers you wanted to run from the different kind of an image. Let's say if you wanted to run a container for, let's say, what can I say, for your database and your Spring Boot application, you need to have this kind of, you need to have that compose, Docker compose, through which you can create it basically. Okay, because there will be two different containers. One is a database container, one is will be your this Spring Wave or this job is container. Okay, so this is all about your Docker desktop. So especially you can see this is an images volume, and you can see it. So you can also see there is a running app as well, right? This is Docker run. You can just see this is the command, you can use it for just your run and other purposes. So this is the basically a general setting where you can have a start Docker desktop. So that is basically we have just clicked it. So every time you will log in, so it will be automatically this daemon, or this is a basically exposed on running on that localhost 2375 port. Okay, like this. So open Docker desktop at the startup. So that is you can just use Docker Compose. So these are the things you can just see for in general setting. Resources, CPU utilizations, memory, and these things also you can change based on your own requirement. Okay, networks like that. Docker subnet, you can see Docker server, files and add-ons. Then there is a Docker engine. Okay, so this is the basically a configuration file, and if you wanted to change you can just take. Kubernetes is also enable Kubernetes. I have just checked in here. So enable Kubernetes is basically you can just, so that this Kubernetes engine will also run it. You see here in Kubernetes engines running, right, like that. If you wanted to reset the cluster, you will lose all the changes and all these details. So that is a basically, if you will reset it, then you need to apply and reset. Okay, so these are the basically basic details all about your general and experiment or these things. So majorly you need to understand that if you want to enable the Kubernetes, you need to click that start a Kubernetes single node cluster when starting a Docker desktop. So single node cluster basically you will be having, you can use it for your explore purpose. So if you will reset it, then all stakes and Kubernetes resources will be deleted. So it will delete all the resources. So you need to create these resources, your deployment ports and all other things inside that cluster from the fresh. If you will reset it basically. So that is a okay, restart. If you wanted to just reset it, then you can just reset it. All stack resources will be deleted. Clean and purge, that is the things you can just see it. If you want a support and if you want to restart, you can restart it. Okay. So this Docker desktop office, you will see I have just logged in through a ch Ashish, right? This is my Docker Hub ID through which I have also, which is I am using it, okay, to login purpose. So use the same ID basically which you can use it for. Basically I have just used this particular to connect with this Docker client with directly to a Docker hub. Okay, so this is the user ID, same user ID I have just used it. Okay, so this, as we already know that Docker desktop contains your Docker client and Docker daemon both, right? Docker daemon nothing but your Docker engine, which will basically responsible for creating a container and running the container, building up a container and running the container. Correct? Everybody is with me so far, I hope, right? So this is all about your general number of apps resources. 1 minute. You see, account and sign out. So images, whatever images is that is available in local, and whatever images I have just uploaded into my repository, right? That is also we can see it here. So that is the way you can understand and you can use this. And basically, if you, there is some issues you face it, then you can just click and reset and you can restart it, right? We have done the enable Kubernetes. So then rather than using through a mini cube, we will try to use that particularly that Kubernetes from here as well. That is also we can use that Kubernetes and explore. We can also do it through this Docker desktop as well. So we will try it, that is in this way as well.